Hello, good day everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Journalism Colloquium Publication Podcast, where we're going to be exploring, discussing, and talking about the world of journalism. So, for today's episode, we will be talking about something that is uncommon. As you guys can see on the title below, we'll be talking about how sound make news feel more real. But before we start, I would like to ask you guys to follow our social media at Newscam 6.0 on our Instagram and TikTok for more exciting content and updates. Yeah, but before we start, I would like to ask you guys, have you guys ever noticed how sometimes when you're reading a story or when you're watching a story, you can feel like as if you were there, as if the story absorbed you into the situation. So today we're gonna explore about how sound actually plays another important role in giving you the next level of experience in storytelling. So today we brought to you someone special, someone that is close to our industry, especially multimedia journalism. She was a former multimedia journalist, producer, and also podcaster. So throughout her career, she has contributed to projects and got recognized both locally and internationally, including the Kajai Award, the SOPA Award, the World Digital Media Award, and also the World Young Reader Prize. So we can tell that her works reflects a strong commitment to producing meaningful stories that engage audience through innovative digital storytelling. So please welcome us today, Miss Clarissa Say. So hi, Miss.
Hi.
Welcome.
Yes.
How are you today?
Doing all right. Enjoying the time off work.
Yeah, we're truly delighted to have you today with us. Before we start, would you mind to, we want to get to know you more. Maybe a little introduction.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm actually not currently a journalist right now. The industry, as I'm sure you'll find out, or if you haven't already, tends to burn people out quite fast, which isn't, I think, an indictment of the industry itself. I think maybe it's just a symptom of what happens when you have very passionate people doing very necessary and hard work in an ecosystem that is lacking in resources. So I'm very glad for my experience with Rage and the Fourth. Currently, I am the storyteller with Bright Spots Energy, where we do community-first solar, both off-grid in Orang Asli villages, as well as community-based solar initiatives. So if you pay attention, you'll be hearing from us very soon in a national campaign. I'm also the program manager with the Environmental Reporting Collective, which is my way of staying at least tangentially close to the news and investigative reporting community, where I host events and kind of provide care work for a global network of environmental journalists. And I do still podcast. It's called Third World Therapy, where we focus on more decolonial leftist interpretations of therapy and mental health. It's a long rant, but long story short, mental health comes from very colonial roots. We still have a lot of hidden assumptions today, and so there's that contradiction where I'm trying to break and help people understand. Actually, you know what? Malaysian, Southeast Asians, just global South, we got it in the bag. They took it, they sold it back to us, and now we've conferred authority to maybe people who have some idea, but not the best idea for what is best for our mental health.
Amazing. There you go, guys. Amazing, Clarissa Say. So, before we start, maybe could you brief and tell us more about your journey previously as a multimedia journalist?
So I was with Rage before we entered video. So funnily enough, I joined as a print reporter. We were doing lifestyle beats. And I think 2 months into my internship was when we started switching to video. And so it was kind of like, the rest of, the news industry is going into video very slowly. Either, you pull up your pants and you pick up the skills, or you get left behind. And that's what we did. And we went very quickly from video into more documentary style filming. The biggest one that we've done so far, and the one that most of those awards are actually attributed to. So it sounds like it's very impressive. Actually, the awards are for many of those awards, not all, are for the one story, which is Predator in My Phone. And I like to think that it was a 1-year national campaign focusing on child sexual grooming. I pretended to be 15 years old at the time. And then within 30 minutes of just being on chat apps, a bunch of people reached out, wanted to meet up, wanted to have sex, tried grooming, took it to the police. Police were like, technically they didn't do anything wrong because they didn't touch you and you're not really 15, da 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 da. A few months later, there was a whole website and went around speaking to MPs and members of the public. And now we have New Child Sexual Act 2016, which also covers sexual grooming. But I've covered other stories as well, mostly on, I think, feminized communities is the way that I would like to describe it. So not women or not feminine, but feminized, meaning we make their labor invisible. We kind of like marginalize them. So I'm thinking orang asli, I'm thinking immigrants, I'm thinking refugees and children as well.
Impressive projects there. I am amazed.
Thank you. But today we're talking about sound.
We're going to talk about sound and audio.
Yes.
Okay, when people think about journalism, I think most people just think of writings or visuals. Somehow they don't even like, I don't know if this doesn't come to their mind or not, but audio actually does plays an important role in our industry, right? So what do you think? In your opinion, what does role sound actually play in multimedia journalism?
It plays a huge role. And I was honestly impressed when I saw this because I think when it comes to production, a lot of people tend to hyper-focus on the visual aspect of it. And audio, is, I guess, an underrated form. But when you think about it, especially now in the era of social media, right? Mm-hmm. What really determines retention isn't visual. You can have like the shakiest, shittiest visual and people will still stay and watch if it's interesting. But if the audio is bad, immediate turn off, scroll.
Yeah.
So I would find it, way more important than visual.
Yeah, because like nowadays, even like the video doesn't like tell anything, but the audio, you can tell from the audio what's happening and what kind of story you can cover from the audio, right? In your opinion, what makes sound, as we talk, make such a powerful storytelling tool? Like, how does it help audience feel more connected to the story?
It's like the wallpaper, right? It's the ambiance. So I could say the content can be exactly the same if we're talking about like a piece to camera or just like an interview like right now. The words could be exactly the same, but then the audio also carries that tonal quality, the emotional quality, right?
Yeah.
So it's how I say it. And then you've got ambiance, so just like transporting people. Now I'm in a forest, or now I'm by a river, or now, bom, 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 I'm in the city.
So you mean like even if we were not in the exact place, we can actually make huge impact with the audio, right?
Yeah.
I see.
It's the emotional body of the work.
And even like if you were reporting, just like you mentioned just now about the tone, if you're reporting something like somehow like an incident that just happened, but the tone is not quite right, it will affect the reporting, is it?
Absolutely. Are we talking about like the tone, the voice?
Yeah, the voice.
Yeah. I think some voice actors, I'm not a voice actor myself, but like if they say it one way or if like they say it another way, I know that newscasters used to have that very like professional sounding da 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 da, the prosody.
All right. So you as a producer yourself, right? When you're producing a multimedia story, what kind of audio do you actually think that will work on the project or in the story? What kind of audio do you usually work with?
Yeah. So you've got you've written it down here. I love the classifications. You do have ambiance, you have interviews, narration, or like piece to camera, or voiceover. You've got just things naturally happening on camera. And then you've got whatever happens in the editing room, so like sound effects or just music that you're adding over, things like that. one thing that I got from Elroy Yee, he was my senior producer, amazing, amazing guy, just like a treasure trove of knowledge and wisdom, is that you can like he told us to prioritize audio 3 ways. So you've got like your bronze category where it's scripted, either it's voiceover or it's narration, and that's like, you know, it's easy. It's
Yeah.
easy in the sense that like I write it down, I read it, I don't have to think about it. The second one is usually piece to camera or show and tell. So it's happening in the moment. Sorry, this framework applies to vocal audio, right? So the lowest would be whatever scripted, voiceover, or narration. The second one would be show and tell. So now we're on the field and I am showing you the building behind me that I used to live in, and I'm pointing like, oh yeah, you know, this is where I did cooking, and this rubble over here used to be the toilet. Gold standard would be whatever is happening, completely impromptu, completely unscripted. The building collapsing behind me, that's an extreme example, right? That sound, you can't really script that. Or for example, you know, people that we're following for our documentary start arguing, that's like keep roll. Yeah. That's the one that you want to get. Yeah, that's the money shot.
Okay, as you mentioned just now, we can't predict anything from happening, right? So, and you did encounter situation where when the camera was rolling and unpredictable things happens. So how do you and your team decide on choosing out, we're gonna use this, or maybe this should not be used? Yeah.
Okay. So I'll give my answer specifically to vocal audio. I don't think we do a lot of sound design in terms of like cutting in a sound of a branch falling when it hasn't. So what I look for when it comes to what audio to include vocally, if it's not scripted, would be, does it answer the who, what, where, when, whys of the story? But what you're asking about is the unscripted one, right? The one that like maybe there's not even any language being spoken at all, or I guess the main thing that I'm looking for, I'm giving you the cognitive, like cerebral answer first, is does it demonstrate the point that I'm trying to make, the point that I made? So for example, I can talk about like this factory in Sulawesi is contributing to a lot of health problems. So then I'm going to be looking for maybe the sound of a baby coughing, right? So does it demonstrate that? But the honest answer is that a lot of the work is very intuitive. Because if you're working with audio, which is, again, the emotional medium of the story, then we use the emotional gauge to know, okay, well, how do I feel? And so going back to Elroy, my senior producer, one thing that I found fascinating watching him work is that as he edits, he would nod his head or he would shake his head, and he was completely unaware that he was doing that. But that really is part of it. It's letting the body, not the mind, tell you what to work with. So it's very hard, especially to like turn off that logical part of the brain, but it's a dance.
I see. What a good advice.
Yeah. I mean, thank you.
All right. Okay. We want to talk about challenges, right? Those are actually, we can consider it as challenge, right? What do you think the other challenges in incorporating sound into multimedia journalism?
I heard that question as a question about technicalities. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's so many. So when your audio peaks because I've set the mic for too sensitive, or when worse still, I've set the mic for not sensitive enough, and then it picks up way too much background noise. And then even if I take it into like whatever editing software I'm using, and now you've got really, really good software, like even Capcut can do it automatically with AI, it still sounds weird. Sometimes I will forget to record ambiance. during a shoot. So one thing, I don't know if they teach you this in class, is that when you are doing your documentary work, you also, and you do your interviews, and after all of that, you also want about like 5 minutes, that's a bit long, like 2 minutes of just like complete uninterrupted whatever is in that room, right? Because the silence sounds different in no matter where you go. So the silence in this room is very different from the silence in that
Yeah.
room is very different from the silence outside. And when I'm cutting, then I want something to like put underneath in between that. Sometimes I'll forget to do that, and then it sounds really weird because I have to like steal silence from other places. And even though the viewer doesn't know, subconsciously they kind of do. So this is more in terms of interviewing rather than technical challenges. Sometimes I will forget to ask when some follow-up questions, and then so like when I'm back in the editing room, I don't have them saying a particular line, or sometimes when I'm doing the interview, I'll forget to tell them, hey, by the way, we're not including the interviewer's voice. I'm going to need you to answer it in full. So, for example, if I ask you, what's your favorite color? You don't say blue. You say...
My favorite color is blue.
Exactly. What other technical challenges are there? Then there's just stupid stuff, you know, like... And we've done them all, like using the transmitter as a receiver and the receiver as a transmitter, forgetting to plug it in to the headphone jack instead of the mic jack. The best thing you can do is to always just monitor. So always have earphones.
Yeah, maybe previously during your time with Rage, have you guys ever like worked on a story where the sound make a difference to the audience experience?
I feel like that is a question that only our audience can answer. I'll give you an example. Like, I know as multimedia journalists, we love to include it in our written pieces as well. So if you're going onto a website and, you know, you have an article and then there's audio playing in the background, sometimes I wonder, like, does that actually do anything for the audience? Or you might be a little bit too young to remember the MySpace era, but like that would be annoying when I went onto a friend's page and then the audio starts playing automatically and I have no control over it. And I'm like, bro, I'm just here to look. So I do wonder. And it depends, again, on a case-by-case basis. You're asking for a time that I felt like it worked. It's a very tricky question to answer. I'm gonna have to think about it.
Yeah, because for me personally, I did you know, before this semester, I didn't even know about Rage, about how the features in Rage website where we can simply listen to the interview in the article, and I find it very fascinating. And yeah, that's why we want to know, like, do you think it makes any difference to the audience?
Let me turn that back around then and ask you, do you feel like it added to the experience?
Yeah. I feel like
Okay.
this is something new, I think, to our country, because I don't think there are other website that you know, offers features like that. I'm not sure if there are any other website, but Rage did a really amazing work.
I know Malaysia Kini has a lot of scrolly telling as well, which is like storytelling while you scroll. And they do incorporate audio in some of their stories, which I really appreciate. But yeah, again, I go back to like, it's cool, right? I think it's the cool factor. It's the novelty in it. Does it have value add? I guess that's a case-by-case basis question. When we were doing Predator in my phone, audio and the ability to capture audio was a surprising technical challenge, because how do you like secretly record audio and also have it be at the very least clear enough to hear what is being said? And so it came to us during a workshop, because we would initially what we tried was like, okay, I'll just like put on the lapel mic as usual. I'll have it here and then, you know, under my clothes. Tak boleh dengar. And so what we ended up doing instead is taking the lapel mic and then just taping it to the wrist. And so I can do this and have it pointed closer to you while it still stayed hidden.
Whoa. And new
Yes.
tips. All right, we want to talk about in Malaysia we don't have that much website that features audio experience just like Rage did. I mean, we do have Malaysia Kini, right, with Malaysia Kini Lab particularly, but I don't find as much audio effect comparing with Rage. So, what do you think of the future, our future industry? Do you think like this kind of initiative or this kind of move is actually better for our industry? Like having more website with immersive audio features.
Ooh. The question is, would more prioritization of audio be good for the industry? I think it would definitely be good for the experience of putting yourself in the shoes of whatever story it is that you're reading. I think it would definitely be good for the company that is producing those stories. I don't know if it would be good for the journalist who has to do more work. I think that it'll be good for the industry at large that these things that are considered a little bit more, that the quality of audio is also taken into account. I think a lot of people had to learn this the hard way again, just like in terms of social media and how quickly the algorithm punishes you unconsciously based on your audio. Industry wide, right now, who is paying for news? Previously, almost all of our main media was government funded, right? You've got like even the Star, that would be 30% MCA, so it's a government linked company, let alone Utusan, which closed. Now you've got this wave of new media companies that are doing corporate sponsored work in order to keep themselves like alive and sustain themselves. So from an industry perspective, yeah, let's definitely work up the quality, but also we do news, right? We're not PR or marketing, but we're starting to have to adopt the strengths and the skills of PR and marketing and production and broadcasting and all of that to really make ourselves relevant in the public eye. So it really is that balance and that battle between, and it's not a bad thing, conflict between opposing forces does lead to progress. It can lead to progress. But how do we do that without losing the purpose that we started in the first place? Because like if journalists are already burnt out, investigative journalists are lagi burnt out, and then now they have to think, oh shit, am I recording the good quality? And then I need to like, not only am I editing for the documentary itself, I also need to edit for the shorts. And now for the website story, I need to edit like specific quotes and then export those specific quotes for the website person to add on, or so things like that.
Yep. Do you think like the less quality, the better the outcome?
Yeah, like the story that you were talking about where there was undercover, I think it's very context dependent. If it makes sense that the audio would be, in this case, because we were recording undercover shitty, then that's fine. If it's, for example, a podcast and the audio is bad, no one's going to listen. If it's a skit and the audio is bad, it's very hard to impress people these days. So the standards have just been raised through the roof.
All right, I want to touch a bit about podcasts. How do you think how do sound can be inserted in podcasts rather than just the talking sound? Do you think adding more sound effect will be effective for podcasts?
I think it depends on the type of podcast. If it's an interview-based podcast, it's highly subjective. I've heard people say that they prefer no music,
at all.
while you're talking, because then it can be very distracting. If it's a story-based podcast, then absolutely 100% it is everything. And even if it is an interview podcast, right? I'm thinking, okay, you've got the stinger at the beginning, so that's in terms of branding. People hear, da, 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 I don't know, whatever it is, and they're like, oh, okay, I know that sound. That is the sound of this particular series. So stingers at the beginning and the end would probably be very important, even if it is an interview podcast. What else, huh? Yeah, and it's also very culturally dependent as well, right? Like East Asian media tends to have a lot more sound effects. Boing!
Yeah.
Although, if you want to talk about audio, it is also just like going back to tonality and prosody. That would be the most important thing for a podcast. Just like, how does somebody sound? If somebody has a really annoying voice, and it's, again, very subjective. Some people don't like Valley Girl voices. Some people are like, that's just misogyny. Yeah, so the voice of the podcaster also. Do I like listening to this person?
All right, so yeah, looking ahead, for you, where do you see the future of audio and immersive storytelling in?
What do I see the role of immersive storytelling in digital journalism? More important than ever, because this is really the attention economy, right? We're in a techno-feudalist state now, so that is what everyone else is trying to capture. But when I say that it's important for that, sure. But it's also because, can I make my audience empathize with someone who is not like them? Or with someone who had a completely different life experience. And so in order to do that, I would have to, at least to the best of my capabilities, bring the experience to them. And audio, again, as an emotional element, is crucial to that.
I think maybe as the experienced journalist in multimedia journalism specifically, do you have any advice would you like to give to the audience, to the journalism students who hope to create more, engaging and immersive stories in the future?
Oh, so this is for students who already want to become journalists. And so I'm just going to provide my answer based on the assumption that their intentions are to speak the truth to power and to get news out so that people can convert knowledge and information into action restrained. I think, because, like, again, going back to all the things that we talked about, it's so cool to have this sound. It's so cool to have like this sound bite. Ultimately, the hardest thing that I've had to learn to do is to kill your babies. Yeah, cool is not like a good enough reason. Everything has to be there intentionally. And if there's no intention other than, well, that sounds or looks cool, it can get very saturated and inauthentic very fast.
Yeah, cool. What an amazing and insightful sharing we have today. So yeah, we can conclude that sound really does make an impactful effect to news or in journalism in general. So yeah, thank you again, Miss Clarissa, for having us today, for sharing, for making time with us.
Thank you, and thank you very much for the very thoughtful questions, Imran.
All right, thank you, Miss. So yeah, don't forget to follow our social media at Newscam 6.0, both our TikTok and Instagram, for more updates and contents. So see you guys in another episode. Bye.